Welcome to the Travel Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Blanco. I interview successful industry professionals and share my personal journey to becoming a travel agent. The show is for aspiring travel agents and travel professionals at every level. My mission is to uncover the universal keys to thrive in this business. Join me as I take a closer look into the life of a travel agent. Hey, Tapsters! Today, it's just me, partly because I wanted to talk about something that has really been on my mind, and I just feel like I really need to share it. And if you are in the travel agent Facebook group, um, you've already heard a little bit about this because I went live, but I'm kind of going to go a little bit more into depth. For starters, next month is the Travel Agent Podcast third birthday. And that really got me thinking, because as you guys know, I took a break and I kind of talked about that. It was massive burnout and I just couldn't. There was just too many things going on that I had to stop. And I talked about how difficult it is to take a break and then come back differently. Because during that break, you're just breaking, right? You're just taking a break. You're trying to not fix everything. You're not trying to, do all the things that you were doing before. But habits are strong, y'all. So, like, once you come back, you find yourself falling right back into those same patterns and behaviors because that's what you know. And most people know, like, your brain wants the easy path, the things that you've already created. That's the easy way just to go back to what you were doing than to create new habits. So, y'all, it's been a struggle to get back into or not back into because that's the problem, right? um Finding a whole new rhythm and trying to balance all the things that I wasn't really balancing before. And so, like, I feel like the burnout was coming back so quickly, and I didn't know why because I was so happy to be back. I was so happy to be more active with my community. And so it's baffling that while, you know, battling burnout and creating new habits and, coming back to doing the things that you love and releasing the things that didn't serve you is hard. And so I have just kind of been in this space of reflection. And a couple of things that were really helpful for me was these podcast stats. Now, I started this show on a whim. I woke up one day, was like, I'm having these specific issues. In any other circumstance, I probably would have gotten a mentor, which would probably have been the best thing I could have done. But I was like, I just need to know like what the secret sauce is or what all of the secret sauces from several different people and try to create my own sauce, right? And so the best way to do that at the time I thought was a podcast. Have I ever podcast before? No. Did I know anyone who was a podcaster? No. Crazy, right? So I just woke up, looked on the internet, and decided to start a podcast. And OMG, almost 3 years later, I still have a podcast. Now, there are about 4,000 podcasts, about or 4,000, oof, 4 million podcasts. And only about 22, I can't even talk, y'all. 2.2 million of those are on Apple Podcast. And on average, only half, if that, are active. Most podcasts don't even get past 10 episodes. Y'all, we have about 100. And like the average downloads for a podcast, for you to be average, right, is 30 listens in the first 7 days. And so y'all have made this a podcast that technically is in the top 15% of all the podcasts out there. And so when I was trying to determine, like, all right, Lady Blanco, what are you going to do? Because we cannot go back to the same habits of burnout. We have to let some things go. And there were a couple moments when I was thinking about letting this go. And it kind of hurts my heart as I say this out loud because of how much joy this brings me. And a lot of people don't realize like podcasting is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And it is definitely a work out of love because, again, most podcasts aren't making any money. For most of us, it's kind of just out of the joy of our community and the topic that we're talking about, which happens to be travel and travel agents and the business of travel. And so today's episode is really just to, again, and I know I do this a lot, but I just want to thank you because sometimes we get in this space of what we should be doing and where we should be in life. And all of the kind of looking over and wondering why we aren't somewhere else that we thought we would be. But if we sit for a moment and reflect, just a moment, we realize that we're where we're supposed to be. This is part of the journey. We're supposed to be enjoying the journey, not the destination. And I know that's cliche and you hear that, but here's the reminder that you are where you are because you're supposed to learn something. And you will be where you're supposed to be when it's time to be there. If you are doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing, and I say supposed to, if you're doing all the things that you feel will put you in a place where you'd like to be, and you're doing your very best, that's all you can do. And all of these pressures and things that we're putting on ourselves, giving ourselves anxiety and sadness, and not really celebrating our wins, not really acknowledging from where you've come from. Y'all, this podcast has come a long way. I have listened to the first couple episodes, and I'd rather not do that anymore because they are not great. But that's another life lesson, right? When we first start something, when we first start walking, when we first start a new job, when we first start a business, it's not going to be great. It might be good, it might be okay, it might be a dumpster fire, but it's the beginning. And isn't it nice to start someplace and it be a dumpster fire and you can look back and see how far you've come? So today's episode's going to be really short and it's really just telling you that maybe if it just for me, take a moment while listening to this or pause it and reflect on where you were 3 years ago and give yourself a round of applause in the mirror, as uncomfortable as it may feel, because you made it. Who cares if you're not where you feel like you should be or where you ought to be? The fact that you are where you are is because of the hard work and energy that you continuously put in. And one thing I can say about these podcast stats is that too many people start things assuming that they're going to be an overnight success. But if you really look at successful people, their overnight success took 7, 10, 15, some even 40 years. So as you listen to this today, know that everything that you need, you already have, and to take a breath and enjoy the journey. You will get to where you are supposed to be when it is time. Y'all, thank you so much for jumping back into the podcast right with me with open arms. And I hope that you guys decide to join me on our 3-year anniversary episode. So I just want to thank all of you Topsters out there and invite you to come celebrate with us in June. When I started to think about recording this episode, I almost thought about saying, you know what, guys, it's been great. This community is amazing, but I'm going to have to let some things go. And I'm so glad that I sat with myself long enough to realize this is one of the best things I got going. Y'all are amazing. So if you have time, join us on June 6th when we are going to go live in the Facebook group. So if you're not in there, sign up. It's easy, it's free. Come and join us in celebrating 3 years. Y'all, this doesn't happen for a lot of podcasters. Now, if you're wondering, we'll be back to the regular scheduled interviews where I'll be interviewing amazing, wonderful travel professionals who are killing it in the game. But today I just wanted to get real because I feel like, again, social media is a lot of a highlight reel. And I want you to know where I am coming from. So every time I get a little overwhelmed or sad, I remember this amazing community of wonderful souls. And I am brought back to a joyful place. So for that, I'm grateful. Have a good day.
Thank you for joining the Travel Agent Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Visit thetravelagentpodcast.com for more information about today's episode and other travel agent resources. Be sure to tune in every Thursday for new episodes. Until next time, continue to build a travel business you love.